Now, as I said before, you have to understand Schapper's role in all of this and the fomentation of communism throughout Europe by understanding the nature of his relationship with Giuseppe Mazzini. Giuseppe Mazzini was the spearhead of the Italian revolutionary movement. His efforts helped bring about a unified Italy in place of separate states in the 19th century. Mazzini was an Italian nationalist in the historical radical tradition and a proponent, of a social democratic state, meaning democratic socialism, or as we're going to talk about, incremental socialism. Mazzini helped define the modern European movement for popular democracy. In 1827, Mazzini traveled to Tuscany, where he became a member of the Carbonari, secret society. It all leads back to them in many ways. In 1831, Mazzini was expelled to France and settled in Marseille, where he became a popular figure among Italian exiles. That year, he founded a new political society called Giovine Italia, Young Italy, a secret society formed to promote Italian unification. Mazzini believed that a popular uprising would create a unified Italy and would touch off a European-wide revolutionary movement. Young Italy sought to unite revolutionary groups who wanted to achieve unification through force. Most of Mazzini's associates in Young Italy were members of the Carbonari and borrowed much of the new organization's structure and technique from Carbonari traditions. From Mazzini's headquarters in Marseille, Young Italy established an extensive network of supporters throughout the Italian peninsula, distributed propaganda, and infiltrated the armed forces and government bureaucracies. Again, a prominent tactic within socialism and communism. Young Italy had over 60,000 members by 1833, with branches in Genoa and other cities. After imprisonment for his revolutionary activities, Mazzini reformed Young Italy in 1834. Mazzini went on to create several organizations aimed at the unification or liberation of other nations in the wake of Young Italy, including Young Germany, Young Poland, and Young Switzerland, all under the support and umbrella of the continent-wide Young Europe. The Young Europe movement inspired a group of young Turkish cadets and students who later named themselves the Young Turks. Mazzini's thought was characterized by a strong religious fervor, and this made him unpopular with some socialists and revolutionaries. He was a believer in divine providence, describing himself as a Christian, emphasized the necessity of a, quote, relationship with God, and vehemently denounced atheism. His motto was God and the people. Simultaneously, Mazzini rejected the concept of the rights of man. I mean, imagine this. You believe in a creator, and you don't believe that rights are instituted by the creator of the universe and are birthrights of human beings. So he didn't believe in the concept of the rights of man, arguing instead that individual rights were a, quote, duty to be won through work, sacrifice, and virtue, rather than rights being intrinsic to humanity. His ideology polarized his contemporaries. For some, he was a godlike figure, and he was denounced by others as a traitor. Some praised Mazzini as the savior of Italy, while others called him the evil genius of Italy, and claimed that he was attempting to, quote, impose a new religion on the population of Europe. Karl Marx did not agree with Mazzini's ideological worldview. Marx believed that Mazzini's point of view had become reactionary and the proletariat had nothing to do with it. Again, but most real conspirators, again, adopted more of the putsch or coup d'etat by a very selective, highly trained conspirator organization, which would infiltrate institutions, take them over from the inside, then institute a socialist revolution. Mazzini was more of that type of revolutionary. Mazzini's socio-political thought has been referred to as Mazzinianism, a term later used by Benito Mussolini and his fascist regime to describe their political ideology and spiritual conception of life. The 20th century activist Albert Charles Bruce argued that, quote, socialism is found in its entirety in the doctrine of Giuseppe Mazzini, one of the most powerful influences of socialism during this time period. Okay, so here's where it gets very interesting. In 1860, Giuseppe Mazzini had formed a secret society called the Oblonica, derived from the Latin noun obolus, or obelisk. Within this group, Mazzini established an inner order which eventually evolved into La Cosa Nostra, the Italian mafia, with many of its members coming to America during the 1890s with the beginning of Italian immigration in America. Mazzini was certainly an occultist and became involved in Freemasonry earlier in his life. In the 1830s, he made efforts to carry on the activities of the infamous occult order, the Bavarian Illuminati, through the Alta Vendita Lodge, the highest Masonic lodge of the Carbonari. In 1834, only a few years after the death of its first Grand Master, Adam Weishaupt, Giuseppe Mazzini was appointed head of the Order of the Illuminati in Bavaria, Germany. So that brings us to